Hello guys, Chris here from Afro, and today more of a request of a video this week. And one of the guys, in fact it was Afro Chibi Champs from the HTCG community requested, not so much a request, but it was more of an idea on a video to go through the characters of my game, which is quite a good idea because it's something I've really been meaning to do for a long time. So I'm going to be going through as many characters that I can think of in the game. Going to give you a bit of backstory, a bit of lore, if I've got anything outside the game and stuff like that, whatever I can think of, I'll just throw it out there so then hopefully you guys can get to know the characters a bit better. And at the end of the video, just hopefully you can try and put your finger on a character which you think you enjoy the most in the game, and be sure just to leave a message in the comments with which one you prefer, or which one you like the most, should I say. So we are going to be going through all the characters, and that includes the god summons as well. And these will be characters which are named characters in the game, which means you can only have one of them in play at a time. So yeah, they are pretty much all powerful cards to have. So without further ado, we're going to start this show, going to get it on the road. And I think the first character, without a doubt, goes to Mr. Raynus himself. Now for those of you who don't know Raynus, he has been in the game since the very beginning. He has appeared in every single set. He's a very powerful unit in every single set. We're going to be going through his cards in a minute. And outside of the game, he was a character I intended to have travelled across different HTCG homemade trading card games, and he did actually make an appearance in a few other people's games as well. So it's really cool to see that took off a little bit in the past. Recently, though, he's not really made an appearance because I've just been a bit busy with the card game and the real life as well. So he's not recently been in any other people's games, but he has been in other people's games in the past. So that's a pretty cool feature, I think, especially for our little community. Lore and story-wise, he is the main character of GVE, which is set 1. He's got 6 children, which just happen to all be females. 5 of them are the elemental mage sisters, and then you've got Kira. We will be going on to these because these are later on, because they are all named characters in the game. Kira being the eldest girl, eldest child. So on the cards on screen now, so you've got Raynus the Lost King. He got the name the Lost King because it kind of ties in with the fact that he's been travelling to other people's games, and he is in theory lost, which is pretty cool. Then in set 2 he came back in the second half, which was the Crazed King, which kind of makes you think he disappeared as the Lost King and then he came back as like a crazed person. And Kira was the next in line of the throne because of whatever happened to him outside of the game. And then in set 3, which was Dragons versus Demons, it was Raynus, the Dragon Slayer. He's again very powerful card, and with the dragons and the demons overwhelming the human force, Raynus kind of took charge of the human race to try and ensure its survivability in the story. There is also another card which includes Raynus, which is a wonder card, which is Raynus and Leo's Glory. Leo is from set 2, and he is a named character we will be going through. But sometimes I've done a couple of cards where it kind of ties 2 characters into the same card. So that's pretty cool. So that's Raynus. It's a big powerful card, big beast, big burly man who always carries massive swords around with him. Yeah, that's him. Moving on to the character after Raynus is going to be the sisters. So the eldest sister was Kira, and she has had 2 cards done and a 2-piece with another sister. So the first one was Kira, Heir to the Throne. She appeared in GVE Part 1, She's actually a really good unit. She's really nice to have in gameplay. And then in the second set, she travelled to the kingdom which was run by a guy called Leo. We'll come across him later. And then she becomes Kira, the favoured ally, because Raynus' troops were heavily allied with the kingdom of Haran, which was under Leo's command. So Kira was actually sent to the kingdom of Haran instead of Raynus because he had to stay in his home kingdom. So that's that. Kira also has a double card with Sane, which is another sister. We're coming on to her next, which is pretty cool because this is like the Raynus and Leo combination card. These cards are really good when you've got them all out in play. So moving on to the next eldest sister is Sane. Now Sane only has one card, the poor girl. She will be making a reappearance in one of the upcoming sets along with Rhea. So Sane is basically the second eldest sister. She focuses on like holy and healing type of magic and a little bit of offensive magic as well. Not much of a story between Sane. She never originally got on with Kira in the story of GBE. So when Kira was not about, she kind of took charge of the other sisters. So what happened in GBE is Kira tried to follow in her father's footsteps, in Raynus' footsteps, and then the sisters went off with their mother. Now the five sisters who went with mother all became attuned to the elements, so you've got like fire and water and stuff like that, and they never got on with Kira because of the split, like the family split. Eventually they do come back together at the end of GVE because of what happens, but yeah, that's basically Sane in a nutshell. She's not really got much to her really. The youngest sister is actually Iris. Now Iris seems to be the most popular character in the game. So she's actually she is attuned to like fire magic. However, she's at the start of GVE, if you've ever read the story to it, she's not necessarily the most confident character in the game. So that's why she's only got 100 HP, the poor girl. So she is quite an energetic character though. She's got quite a funny part in the story which was typed up. Yeah. Now she has appeared in all three sets, or should I say she is going to be appearing in all three sets because she's going to be making an appearance in part 2 of DVD. So in the first set she was Iris the Ember Mage. Then in the second set, which is WaE, she has a card called Iris the Fire's Edge, where she's relatively stronger. Then in also in WaE, she also found her ultimate weapon, which is called Yurta. If you see some previous videos when you combine the two together, she's actually really pretty ruthless. And then in part 3, this card has not yet been released, Iris the Ultimate Fire Mage. So when it comes to this point, her confidence has basically reached the maximum what she can, and she basically becomes like this superior fire mage who just obliterates enemies. So as you can see by her cost, from set 1 she only costs 3 red elements, but then up to DVD she's cost a whacking 7 elements, and she also becomes a royalty rare card as well. So she's kind of gone from like this little girl type character with low confidence and like low powers and stuff like that, and she's grown through the set and become like this really powerful female mage who can basically utilize the like fire element just to obliterate her enemies. She's also done a bit of a crossover with Erica from Illuminant Souls as well, so then she got this card which I absolutely love the artwork for. This appears in DVD. It's Erica and Iris. As of yet, Erica does not have her own card. She's not yet been collaborated properly into Wrath of Khorne, apart from this one card. So yeah, Iris has actually got quite a lot of recognition in the game. Moving on to another sister, there's the other two sisters. So you've got Rhea again. She hasn't necessarily made a great appearance in any of the other sets apart from GVE. She kind of just appears in GVE and then disappears. She's basically, instead of having an element as such, she is probably the hardest sister to utilise because her skills aren't that great. And then in the story and lore wise, she basically has like control magic. That's kind of what she uses. So in the story she kind of like forms a bubble around an enemy, while one of the other sisters utilises a lot of death magic on it. So that's Rhea. She will also be getting a redesign at some point as well. Ulsa is the green variant of the sister. She utilises the power of nature and earth and stuff like that, so you're going to be getting like stats buffs and health recovery and stuff like that. So again, she does make an appearance in the story. She makes one card appearance in the game, but she's not necessarily being utilised in future sets as of this video. So there is one more sister, which is Naya, the Grim Mage. She plays quite a decent role in the story. So she makes an appearance in GVE and DVD, so she has skipped the second set, which is WaE. So in set 1 she's called Nia the Grim Mage, and then in the third set she's called Nia the Dark Shadow. So as you can obviously tell, she is a mage who utilises like death and dark magic and stuff like that. She does make an appearance, as with all the other sisters, in the story, where she utilises some kind of death magic to poison an enemy, and she kind of keeps herself to herself in her personality wise. So that is all the 6 children of Raynus described in this video. We have got a GV character, which is, well, it's not necessarily a named character technically because it's not got a comma in its name, but young Alexander is a character in the game who has been collaborated over from Resolution Breakers. So I need to throw this guy out to it. Alexander, in my game, is a young, like a young warrior. It's very similar to how Raynus is in my game. Alexander has been travelling from the world of Resolution Breakers to Wrath of Cause and to Skyscape TCG, and they're all the same character, but they appear at different times of their life. So in Skyscape TCG, Alexander is like an old man, like a wise warrior and stuff like that, and in Resolution Breakers he's like a middle-aged man, and then in Wrath of Cause he is a young warrior, like a trainee type thing, and he actually trained under the King Raynus regime as well. So he got his training from Raynus. That kind of is his backstory, even though he was designed in Resolution Breakers as like a middle-aged man, and then he's kind of jumped over to Skyscape where he is like an old wise man later on in the future. So that's a pretty cool idea, I think, for a character. Even though he's not originally from Wrath of Cause, he has appeared in Wrath of Cause. So yeah, you've got young Alexander. Then you've got Alto. Alto appears in set 1 in GVE. Now, this thing is a monster. As you can tell by its elemental, as its play cost, it's really tricky to use. Alto was a manifestation of elements in the game and cause. So if you've read the story, you will realise that Raynus' wife took her daughters, other than Kira, with her, and she basically tricked them into creating Alto by gathering certain cores around the kingdom, and then she sacrificed herself and then became this giant soul herding demigod thing. So that is Alto. Very powerful unit, but it's never really resurfaced or had much of a story after GVE. Moving on to more so set 2 cards now, you have got Leo. Now Leo is basically the big ringleader of part of set 2. So he's got his own kingdom, which is called the Kingdom of Haran, which Kira travelled over to, and basically, yeah, he's like the big good guy of Haran. He's basically the Raynus of set 2. What most of the story kind of revolves around. He's pretty much deemed as a well looked up to character. This kind of also ties into the next 2 characters, which is pretty cute, I think. So the next character is Susanthi, which is actually Leo's wife. As you can tell in the picture, she's like this elegant mage type character who kind of supports other units. Both of these cards are found in the starter deck for WaE. And then you've got Ella, which is Susanthi's young, which is Leo and Susanthi's daughter, a young daughter. They've only ever had one child. So when you kind of put the 3 together, you've got like a father figure, a mother figure, and then the child figure. So I think that was something quite cute and encouraging to have in set 2 of Wrath of Kors. It's quite a nice little thing for them to have. All 3 of them. Then we have got Pandora, which is a new character from set 3. So Pandora is a named unit, but she's quite tricky to play, but a very powerful unit to play. So she kind of starts off in this urn state, which is a relic. And whenever you use your Kors ability 3 times, you can flip the card over and turn her into Pandora Demonette. So there can only be one of these in play at a time. And as you can tell, she's just an overpowered card. 900 attack, 900 HP, she never misses, and then you roll a 6, the enemy core instantly loses 500 HP. Really nice artwork to boot, especially with a backdrop and stuff like that. But she's not necessarily got any lore behind her, it's just a nice looking card and a very powerful card to have as well. So you've got Pandora, which is that character. Finally, we're moving on to the God Summons, because I can see this video is getting quite long. So the God Summon from GVE, you've got 2 God Summons, which is Anuga. Now, these characters, these God Summons, basically, you've got to get 3 of them in play to actually activate them. I'm sure you can find all the rulings and stuff on my website. So, as you can see on the screen, the 3 cards kind of join together to make one big card. So Anuga is the big goodie summon, and if you can get this out in play, it says destroy all cards your opponents have in play, or has in play. Story wise, lore wise, this is the god that Raynus looked up to, but he was never allowed to communicate directly with him. He had to go through the Angel of Purity to do so. And then in the story, Raynus had to basically sacrifice his life to summon Anuga, which inevitably killed Alto, because now Alto was just this rampaging beast what nobody could contain or control, and you know, things started to get quite serious. So Anuga was summoned, but the cost to summon a god was one's life. So that's quite an interesting topic right there. Also in GVE we had the god of the underworld, which was Galio. So if I just get these 3 out here, that's the right side, that's the middle, and that's the left. So you got Galio. This design was actually on a playmat at some point. Now funnily enough, this god summon did not actually turn up in the story. I just thought it was a really cool design. So you get all 3 of these out in play, and it just says your opponent discards their hand. It will really slow your opponent down. But yeah, this is more so for the artwork. I really enjoyed doing the artwork on this, and it took me a short while, quite a long while to get this artwork down. So yeah, you got Galio, god of the underworld. No story, no lore as such, it's just a good looking card, I think. Oh, good looking cards. God summon from WaE is Castan, god of fire. So set 2 had a lot of the elements themselves kind of went on a bit of a rampage, after the demise of Alto. And Caston is basically a big giant fire god. Deals 1,000 damage to the enemy core and all units they have in play. So if your opponent's units are not above 100 HP, they're gonna be wiped out off the face of the earth. Again, the god summons don't necessarily have a story back behind them other than Anuga, so it's just pretty cool to have all three of these in a big line on the play field, and then you can just activate like a massive ability. There's not necessarily any story or lore as to how it came to be. And then finally, the last god summon and the last character in this video is called Ayo, which is the dragon god. Now this one is probably the best artwork I have done for a god summon and for a long while, because this actually took absolutely ages to draw up. Excuse me. So as you can see on screen, Ayo, the dragon god. You may play as many dragon or wyvern units from your hand for free. Your units can all attack this turn and they each gain 400 attack power. So again, a really big, powerful card. Well, ability when all three parts are in play. Yeah. Not necessarily a great deal of story or lore for this unit, or this god, should I say. But the artwork on it, the hexagon in its wings and how its tail comes all the way and spans over all three cards, I just think it looks a really, really good piece of artwork and stuff like that. So yeah. Anyway guys, this video is getting long enough as it is, so I'm going to cut this video here. Just yeah, so if you've managed to make it this far, thank you very much for watching this video, and be sure to comment down below who your favourite character, like named character, is in the game. So yeah guys, thanks very much for watching, and I shall see you in my next video.